Hello, this is Rick Olson, and I will be doing a presentation on Solar Cooperative Action. People in this group probably don't need to be reminded about the reality of climate change with the carbon dioxide and global temperatures increasing simultaneously over the many decades. You can see in this slide shows where the major areas in red in the northern hemisphere primarily are much warmer than baselines. And experts have said that there is sort of a human climate niche where the area of the globe that's most suited for human life, and this area is expected to decrease drastically under severe climate change scenarios. For example, this year, climate change has already put approximately 1/3 of the global population outside of this niche. And by 2100, with the current emission scenarios, global warming is expected under a new UN report, estimated about to 2.9 or maybe 3 degrees above, centigrade above baseline. We're already at 1.2. They're saying 1.5 in about 4 years, but with the current in position, residents, businesses, and government installations could go up to 2.9 or 3. That would put about 1/3 of the global population outside of this human niche, which is really serious. So we could just say, oh, boy, we're screwed. Let's just give up. But no, I don't think any of us want to give up. We need to do two things. Number one, we need to slow down climate change as much as we possibly can. And obviously, second, we're going to have to adapt with that which we cannot change or prevent. So, just to show again, by 2100, the experts are saying that sea levels will have risen about 33 inches, which would put, much of Florida coastline underwater. So that's just, it's going to affect us significantly, and we need to do what we can. So that brings us to why we would do a cooperative rooftop solar project. This is really to fight climate change on a local basis by focusing on facilitating significant capture of solar power with solar panels. Now, how this is different from what many other people are doing is we would use cooperative group purchasing and targeted marketing to receive purchase discounts from solar power installers to achieve lowest cost prices and hassle-free purchasing for our members, while maximizing our impact on slowing down climate change. Now, the problem is the Earth is warming, as climate is changing at an accelerating rate. Current local efforts installing solar on residential rooftops are inadequate due to the following impediments. People lack the time to research, get bids, negotiate, and so on regarding solar installation. People are busy living their lives. Also, there's a lack of knowledge about solar power, and really a lack of trust in solar insulation companies' statements or guarantees. And people just don't like hearing what salespeople have to say. And many people lack negotiation skills or confidence in their negotiation skills. So the solution that I'm proposing is a cooperative effort sponsored by Rotary clubs, led by a professional who eliminates the need for individual homeowners to do the work of having to research, get bids, negotiate the contract, supervise the installation, and so on. Now, the advantage is that group purchase gets discounts from the solar installers as they avoid the marketing and sales costs, which results in savings for the homeowners. But these lower overall costs allow the installers to pay the cooperative a fee, and still everyone wins. Now, some data here to show down in this lower left, you can see these empty dots, these are the costs of the solar panels that are modules that have been dropping. And this solid dots, and these are the costs of the inverters, which have been dropping significantly. But what has not dropped as significantly are the soft costs, the people costs involved in this, whether it be the sales and marketing, the design, overhead, on and on and on. And if we break that down even more further, you can see that the sales and marketing on average per installation, $5,700. So the idea is that we would want to significantly reduce that $5,700 for the solar installers so they can afford not only to give lower prices, but also they'll pay the fee, or basically a finder's fee, to the cooperative. Now, the benefits to the homeowner is that they would save money on installation. And they also join like-minded people in doing their part in slowing climate change. That'll feel good. They also feel good about doing their civic duty without the hassle of doing it yourself. They could also benefit from having peace of mind, knowing that local service clubs are looking out for their best interests. Now, from a cooperative standpoint, there's a sort of a flow chart I've shown here. A member would first find out about this effort, then become a supporting member at no cost. We would conduct a preliminary site review for them using existing information, as well as going there and taking photos and doing measurements and so forth. And if the preliminary site review looks positive, then a supporting member who is interested in having solar panels installed would sign a non-binding statement of intent. Of course, this would be subject to the further findings and the bids and so forth we get from solar companies. That would make them a participating member. When the co-op would collect 30 or more of these, and a request for proposal would be sent to solar installers that look big enough and capable of doing this kind of work. Anyway, the solar installers would send their proposals. We would have a co-op selection committee review these and make recommendations to the co-op board of directors. Once the board of directors has approved of the selected solar installer, then there would be a master contract signed between the selected solar installer and the cooperative. Now, this master contract would contain basic pricing and so forth based on certain sizes of solar arrays and so many dollars and cents per kilowatt hour installation. Now, once that agreement, master contract is signed, then the solar installer would then go do the final design on each of these locations and propose that to the individual member. If the individual member likes that, they would sign it, and then the contracts would be implemented by the solar panels installed. Even after the co-op would send the RFP to the solar installers, the co-op would not stop recruiting members with the goal of getting not just 30, but 50 minimum that would actually have the solar panels installed on the roofs. And if that's done at an average of size of 10 kilowatts, that would be 1/2 a megawatt total installation, roughly enough to service about 375 homeowners. Anyway, because of all these members that are brought to the solar installer, they would be paying the fees, finder's fees, basically, to the cooperative. This would be a fee that was actually negotiated in that master contract. Now, the members would also be having a kind of a similar process. There's a number of questions that they would need to answer yes to get down all the way to having solar panels installed. But at any point along this way, if the answer is no, then the appropriate thing would be to recommend they join a community solar project if it's available. And even when comparing the final bids and so forth that they got, if there's a community solar project available, they need to look at that alternative to see if, in fact, it might be better than doing a contract through this cooperative. Anyway, if that is not available, then we still would need to be recommending that there be a home energy inspection so they could reduce their utility costs. One way or another, we want to educate the people we're talking about to reduce their utility costs. Now, our marketing strategy would be to go after the early majority. There are many people, too few, but still quite a few of people who are willing to pick up the phone, call a solar installer, have them come over, do a preliminary site review, give a proposal, and then accept or reject the proposal, maybe even get more quotes. However, that's not the vast majority of people. Most people will not do that. They're not early adopters. So we would be targeting after people who are more risk averse, people who would want more hand holding. There'd be more pragmatists. And so those would be the target that we would be going after. Now, looking at the cost of systems installed in 21, you can see Minnesota had an average cost per kilowatt installed of $3.60. But when you look at the size of the solar arrays that were installed, the larger the array, the lower the price per kilowatt. And we would be targeting these areas at 10 kilowatt or larger. For example, the solar array that I had installed in my home in 2019 was at $8.89. So there is opportunity for driving that price down by going larger size. There's also an opportunity to target people who are not in the Xcel Energy service area. In the Xcel service energy area, they may be eligible for a community solar if Xcel would allow them. But people who are in the Minnesota Valley Electric Co-op area or the Dakota Electric Association area, they're not available. They don't have community solar available. And so they're susceptible to maybe being convinced that they should put solar panels on the roof. Also, there's a number of people in this area that are relatively high income that could afford solar panels, because we really need to target people with cash. Because right now, buying and having solar panels installed with a loan, with higher interest rates, the economics just don't work out too well. So in addition to Minnesota Valley Electric Co-op and Dakota Electric, Waseca Co-op Electric could also have some people who would be susceptible to our persuasion. Now, that's the strategy, but our individual tactics is, of course, we'd use some Facebook advertising. You might as well get the low-hanging fruit possible in doing that in targeted zip codes. And we would be asking Rotary members to share. I would be doing many meetings. Every Rotary club I could get to, Kiwanis clubs, Optimists, Lions, request opportunities to speak to middle and high school science classes. And also, would be doing some door-to-door, in fact, quite a bit, where solar appears most suitable. In high-income neighborhoods, houses with backyards facing south, lack of shading. In other words, no use going to where people probably can't afford it or sites that just aren't suitable. Okay. Also, would use the media, seeking interviews. Got a huge list of all the various media people. We're sending news releases and seeking interviews. Now, just a quick flow of funds to understand how this would work financially. We would get donations from clubs, which would be the seed capital. Thinking we need to have a minimum of 8,000 of that. And then we would get fees from the solar installer. And these would probably be obtained no sooner than the solar installer getting the first payment from the homeowner. So let's assume 50 installations at $2,000 per per installation, that'd be 100,000. Now this 2,000 is kind of a arbitrary number, but looking at what the Midwest Renewable Energy Association program, what they've done is they've been doing 5,000. But when I look at that, that would sort of defeat the purpose of this whole thing of driving costs down to the homeowners, as well as enabling them the the homeowner to get a good price. So part of what we really want to do is we want to encourage people. If we make the prices very looking very good, that's so much better, making that much easier. I've put together a number of expenses of anticipating. I'm probably missing some, so I got 6,500 here. Probably I'm missing some, so we should probably plan for a minimum of 8,000. Anyway, with that, we would have a gross profit of 101,504. If during this whole 2024, the executive director, which I'm hoping to be that, would receive no wages, no contract payments. But at the end of the year, then based on the results, I would receive 50% of the solar installer fees as an incentive on an independent contract. So that's not a whole lot of money, especially when you think about the Social Security taxes and all the other stuff that I'd have to pay out of my own pocket. The net amount would not be a whole lot. Anyway, the net profit then is something that the co-op would retain, not just pay out right away, because we would need operating money, operating capital for 2025. The idea is that I've used experience while I was president of an agriculture cooperative, in that typically we'd retain this for about 5 years and then paid out as member dividends. So not only would the homeowners get maybe low prices, but they may also get a dividend down the road. Now, the impact we could have first year, if we have 50 installations, so half a megawatt of production, enough to power 375 homes simultaneously, and would avoid 15,750 tons of carbon dioxide emission. But that's not all. What we would be doing in the process, we would be educating a lot of people. I've just kind of rough numbers, a lot of different ways that we could reach people. So just a quick back of the napkin thing, a minimum of 1,350 people we would reach, be somewhat educated. Now, there are alternatives to doing this. Community solar gardens, they're first of all not available in non-Excel areas, but if you're in Excel area, you might qualify for this if Excel would allow. But there's really negligible customer benefit of that compared to having your own solar panels on your roof. Of course, you could do nothing. And in the city area, Minneapolis, St. Paul, there is Solar United Neighbors, but they are doing group processing, so forth. They've been doing this for a few years. But when you look at what they've been doing, it's just really not that impressive. And in fact, of the size, average kilowatts per site, based on the information they had on their site, really small. And so, because they're really looking at a whole lot beyond driving the cost down, they're looking at really diversity, equity, inclusion, and so forth, which means that they're going after smaller situations, not really targeting, maximizing the effort to slow down climate change, which would be our major goal. Now there is another group, like I said, the Midwest Renewable Energy Association. They've been doing a group purchase program since 2013. 60 programs over 6 Midwestern states, over 2,700 homes and businesses over the years since 2013. But one of their sites has been Grow Solar Twin Cities. And in 2022, they had a whole bunch of cities and supporters. And over the 4 years that Grow Solar Twin Cities has been in operation, they've had 85, 47, 35, and 18 solar installations, 185 total. But again, the size of this is 7.42, but 7.5 kilowatt on average. not the size really that we are aiming for. And at any rate, they did not conduct a program in 2023 due to MEREA staff constraints, and none is currently planned for 2024. I talked to Taylor Ball, their executive director of this, and that they're just not planning to do that this year. So if we do this, I'm hoping to be the executive director to run this. And why should I be the one selected? Well, first of all, I've got a history of being fighting climate change, and as a school business manager of Foley School District 2016, I did get the school board to approve a major contract with Excel Community Solar. Got solar panels on the roof, operating satisfactorily for the last 4 years. Just got a background in this area. But I'm not resting on that background, in that on my own dime, I have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 courses so far on photovoltaics. I can't even say it. Voltaics, and solar installations and so forth. And I'm looking at a ninth course on 3 out of 8 modules already done. And I will be taking a test on that maybe sometime yet December, maybe January at the latest, depending on how long it takes to get this exam scheduled. So I will have a significant industry credential, which will increase my credibility. That, along with the Rotary credibility, is something that very few people in the industry would have going to talk to homeowners. The other thing is, I have done in other settings all the things that need to be done in this effort, from drafting RFPs to articles of corporation, visiting Rotary clubs, doorbelling over 25,000 households, created websites, on and on and on. I've done the things that need to be done. But also, I'm just patient. I don't really need the money. I'm willing to wait until the end of 2024 to be receiving any financial rewards for this effort. And I've simply got the personal attributes that are necessary for credibility. And I live the motto of, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial for all concerned? And I think that comes through in my demeanor. So if not me, who? If not now, when? So the request would be to get 4 or 5 Rotary clubs involved. And I've got some target Rotary clubs mentioned there. What I would be asking from each club would, first of all, just club sponsorship. Collectively, I'd like to raise 8,000 money so we can do that seed capital. As I mentioned, this is a one-time seed capital thing, because then it's self-sustaining after that. I would like each club that has donated $2,000 or more to have a volunteer on the Solar Cooperative Board of Directors. Also, I'd like an opportunity to present to the club what we're doing. And I'd want the club members to spread the word to friends and family and neighbors, and share social media posts, and overall just encourage. So with that, I'll end this presentation. If you want to reach me, that's Rick Olson, 320-248-9933, 320-248-9933, or my email, olson48176@gmail.com, olson48176@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.